Have you ever noticed something peculiar about those who claim to have found the answer? They're usually broke. Here's the delicious irony that nobody wants to discuss. The moment you truly wake up to the cosmic game, you become spectacularly useless at playing it. It's as if enlightenment comes with a secret clause written in invisible ink. Congratulations on your spiritual awakening. Your bank account will now begin its journey towards zero. And yet these same poor souls seem to possess something that all the money in the world can't buy. They've discovered the ultimate joke that the entire economic system is built on a magnificent illusion, and once you see through it, you can never quite take it seriously again. So here's my question for you. What if financial struggle isn't a bug in the spiritual journey, but a feature? What if poverty and awakening are dancing partners in a cosmic tango that nobody taught us the steps to? You see, there's something wonderfully absurd happening here. The people who've glimpsed the truth that money is just an elaborate game of make-believe suddenly find themselves unable to accumulate the very thing they've seen through. It's like being the only sober person at a party where everyone else is gloriously drunk on the illusion of wealth. Now, I've watched this phenomenon with great fascination. The mystic in his cave, the sage in her simple hut, the awakened soul living on donations and grace. They've all discovered something that makes millionaires look like pursers. They've realized that you can't actually own anything in a universe where you are everything. But here's where it gets deliciously complicated. The landlord doesn't care about your cosmic consciousness. The grocer isn't impressed by your understanding of non-duality. They want those funny pieces of paper with dead presidents on them. And so the awakened soul finds themselves in the most extraordinary predicament. How do you earn something you know is imaginary? How do you save what you understand to be an illusion? It's like asking a physicist to believe in Santa Claus. Theoretically possible, but practically absurd. The joke, of course, is that money, like everything else in this magical universe, is pure energy playing dress up. But try explaining that to your banker. I'm sorry, Mr. Watts, but cosmic energy is not an acceptable form of payment. Now, when you truly wake up, something rather inconvenient happens to your relationship with the great money dance. You suddenly see that everyone around you is performing this elaborate choreography. Accumulate, protect, multiply, hoard, and you've forgotten the steps. Or rather, you can no longer pretend the dance makes sense. It's as if you've been pulled out of a hypnotic trance where everyone agreed that these metal discs and paper rectangles have magical powers. You look around and want to shout, don't you see? We're all pretending. The emperor has no clothes and money has no inherent value. But here's the beautiful catastrophe. While you're having this revelation, everyone else is still dancing, and the dance requires participation. The spiritually awakened person becomes like a musician who suddenly heard the silence between the notes. They can never play the old tune quite the same way again. I've noticed that awakened individuals often develop what I call financial dyslexia. They see abundance everywhere, in sunsets, in laughter, in the very air we breathe, but somehow can't translate this cosmic wealth into a healthy bank balance. They are rich in ways that don't pay rent. The system, you see, rewards those who believe in scarcity. It's built on fear. Fear of not having enough. Fear of losing what you have. Fear of others taking your share. But when you wake up, you realize there is no share. There's just this infinite isness pretending to be divided into yours and mine. Here's what they don't tell you in the spiritual brochures. When you truly see through the money illusion, you are faced with an impossible task, pretending to care about something you know is make-believe. It's like being asked to get genuinely excited about monopoly money after you realized it's just a game. And yet, marvelously, the game has real consequences. This is the cosmic practical joke at its finest. You know, money is just collective imagination, but if you don't play along, you don't eat. You understand that ownership is impossible in a unified field of consciousness, but somehow your bodies still need shelter. I remember once watching a Zen master trying to balance his checkbook. The look of bemused confusion on his face was priceless. Here was a man who could explain the deepest mysteries of existence, completely baffled by compound interest. He looked at me and said, "Alan, how does nothing multiplied by time equal something?" And we both burst into laughter. You see, when you don't care, truly don't care about accumulation, you become magnificently incompetent at it. It's like asking a fish to be passionate about mountain climbing. The awakened soul looks at the frantic scramble for wealth and thinks, but you already are, the treasure you're seeking. The lightness is liberating. The not caring is freedom itself. But oh, how unbearable it becomes when the electric bill arrives. Now, isn't it fascinating that throughout history, the most enlightened beings have been financially supported by those still caught in the illusion? Buddha had his wealthy patrons. Jesus relied on donations. The pattern repeats like a cosmic comedy show. It's as if the universe has a peculiar sense of humor. Let's give the deepest wisdom to those who can't figure out invoicing. The sage sits in perfect peace while their disciples worry about keeping the lights on. There's something beautifully honest about this arrangement. You see, there's a secret teaching here that nobody wants to acknowledge. Perhaps the spiritually awakened need to be financially dependent, not because they're failures, but because their poverty is their teaching. They demonstrate with their very lives that security is an illusion. That true wealth has nothing to do with bank accounts. But let me tell you something deliciously subversive. The empty refrigerator of a sage contains more nourishment than the full pantry of a millionaire. Why? Because the sage has discovered the secret ingredient, the ability to be deeply, ridiculously, absurdly content with whatever is. I've known monks who eat the same rice and vegetables every day with the enthusiasm of a gourmand at a feast. They've cracked the code. It's not what's on your plate. It's the consciousness that receives it. But try paying your mortgage with consciousness. The bank remains unimpressed. Now, here's where the plot thickens deliciously. The awakened being operates in the currency of presence, infinite, abundant, always available. But the economic system, it runs on the currency of absence. What you lack, what you need, what you fear losing. These two currencies are trying to have a conversation, but they're speaking entirely different languages. When you're truly present, you realize you have everything you need in this moment. The air is free, consciousness is free. Existence itself is the ultimate free lunch. But the economy whispers, yes, but what about tomorrow? What about your retirement? What about security? And the awakened soul laughs because they've discovered that tomorrow is a concept. Retirement is a myth. And the only security is insecurity embraced. I've watched this collision between presence and absence create the most wonderful chaos. The spiritual teacher who forgets to charge for workshops because they're so absorbed in the joy of sharing. The mystic who gives away their last dollar because in that moment the other person's need was more present than their own future hunger. You see, money is a promissory note written against future absence. It says, I don't have enough now, so I'll store this symbol for later lack. But when you're swimming in presence, this thinking becomes as foreign as planning your breathing. You trust that the next breath will come, don't you? The awakened trust that life will provide, a trust that appears as madness to those still believing in scarcity. The cosmic joke is that both currencies are valid in their own realms. Presence is the fortune of consciousness. Money is the fortune of the game. The trouble begins when we try to deposit presence in a bank account. Here's something that will make you laugh and cry, simultaneously. You can be one with the entire cosmos, experiencing yourself as the very fabric of existence, and still get an overdraft. Notice, the universe might love you unconditionally, but it apparently doesn't cover your credit card bills. This is the hilarious tragedy of the awakened life. You understand that you are the universe experiencing itself, but the landlord still insists on experiencing his rent money. You've realized that all boundaries are imaginary, but the electric company maintains a very real boundary between power on and power off. I once knew a perfectly enlightened master who tried to explain non-duality to a debt collector. You see, he said, there is no separate self to owe money and no separate other to be owed. The collector's response, that's wonderful. Sir, the non-dual payment is due on the 15th. The cosmic laws and economic laws operate on completely different operating systems, you might say. One runs on unity, the other on separation. One on abundance, the other on scarcity. One on trust, the other on contracts. It's like trying to run a Zen monastery using corporate accounting principles. Something essential gets lost in translation. But here's the deeper teaching hidden in this cosmic incompatibility. Perhaps we're not meant to solve this paradox, but to live it, to be simultaneously infinite and broke, eternal and late on rent, one with everything and personally responsible for our individual bills. The contradiction itself might be the lesson that we can dance in both worlds without being owned by either. Now, here's a paradox that would make even a Zen master scratch his head. How do you put a price tag on pointing out what everyone already has? It's like charging admission to see the sky. Technically possible, but cosmically absurd. The guru sits in this impossible position. They're sharing the priceless wisdom, that you already are what you seek, that enlightenment is your true nature, that freedom costs nothing because it is everything. And then someone asks, how much for the weekend workshop? The cosmic comedy writes itself. I've watched spiritual teachers tie themselves in philosophical knots over this. They know that truth should be free. It is free. It's everywhere. It's what we are. But the retreat center needs to be paid. The organic vegetables don't grow themselves, and even gurus need to eat. So they create sliding scales, donation bases, energy exchanges, all elaborate dances around the central absurdity. The real joke is that the students who pay the most often get the least. Why? Because they're still operating in the marketplace mentality. I paid top dollar, so I better get premium enlightenment. While the broke seeker who snuck in the back door might have the opening of a lifetime. Grace, you see, has a wicked sense of humor about price points. But here's what I find most delicious. The very struggle of the teacher with money is the teaching. Their financial awkwardness demonstrates the truth that awakening doesn't solve your practical problems. It dissolves your attachment to solving them. The guru's empty wallet is more instructive than their words. You know, in Zen, they have these wonderful puzzles called koans, questions that break your rational mind. What is the sound of one hand clapping? Well, I submit to you that money is the ultimate koan for the awakened soul. How do you earnestly participate in an illusion you've seen through? This isn't just a philosophical puzzle. It's a living riddle that shows up every first of the month. The awakened being must somehow generate enough illusion to pay for their very real shelter while knowing that both the money and the shelter are dreams within a dream. It's enough to make you laugh, cry, or achieve spontaneous enlightenment. I've seen spiritual seekers reach profound states of consciousness, experience cosmic unity, touch the face of the Absolute, and then completely fall apart when checking their bank balance. It's as if money is specifically designed to test whether your enlightenment can survive contact with consensus reality. The beautiful thing about this koan is that it has no correct answer. Some awakened beings become mysteriously provided for living on synchronicity and grace. Others learn to play the money game with detached mastery like actors, who never forget they're in a play. Still others remain perpetually broke, wearing their poverty like a badge of authenticity. But perhaps, just perhaps, the financial struggle isn't a bug in the Enlightenment program. Maybe it's the final exam. Can you remain free while paying taxes? Can you stay present while balancing a checkbook? Can you love unconditionally while being declined at the checkout? If you can, you've cracked the cone. Now, let me share something that most spiritual teachers won't tell you. Perhaps because they're too embarrassed, or perhaps because it's too radical for the self-help marketplace. There's a secret teaching hidden in the empty pockets of the awakened. A wisdom that can only be learned through financial insecurity. You see, when you have money, you can maintain the illusion of control. You can buffer yourself against life's uncertainties, plan your tomorrows, secure your comfort. But when you're awakened and broke, that's when the universe really starts teaching you about trust. I've known sages who describe their poverty as the final guru. Every empty cupboard becomes a teaching about impermanence. Every unpaid bill transforms into a lesson about attachment. Every financial crisis cracks open another layer of the ego's need for security. It's brutal. It's beautiful. And it's absolutely terrifying to the mind that still believes in tomorrow. There's a rawness to spiritual poverty that no amount of meditation can replicate. When you don't know where next month's rent is coming from, you're forced into a radical immediacy. All your beautiful concepts about being present become viscerally real. You're not choosing presence as a spiritual practice. Presence is all you've got. But here's the twist that makes the gods laugh. Those who pass through this initiation often discover something extraordinary. They find that life actually does provide, just never in the way the mind expects. The check arrives from an unexpected source. The opportunity appears at the last moment. The universe conspires in ways that would make a Hollywood screenplay look unimaginative. The secret teaching is this. Security is not found in bank accounts, but in the bone-deep recognition that you are the very life that provides. And so we come to the ultimate paradox, the final revelation in our cosmic comedy. The spiritually awakened poor are performing the most radical act of faith possible in a materialistic society. They're trusting reality itself to take care of its own. Think about the audacity of this. In a world obsessed with insurance, policies, retirement funds, and financial security, these beautiful fools are saying, I trust the same intelligence that spins galaxies and grows forests to handle my rent. They're either completely insane or absolutely brilliant, perhaps both. Empty hands, you see, are ready to receive. Clenched fists holding tight to security can't open to grace. The awakened poor have discovered something that would terrify most people. When you truly let go, life catches you. Not always comfortably, not always conventionally, but it catches you nonetheless. I've watched this play out in countless lives. The moment of absolute surrender, when the bank account hits zero, when all options are exhausted, when the ego finally admits defeat, and then in that very surrender something shifts. A door opens that was always there. Help arrives from an unexpected angle. The universe winks and says, did you really think I'd let you fall? But, and this is crucial, this isn't a strategy you can fake. You can't manipulate the universe by pretending to trust. The empty hands must be truly empty. The surrender absolutely genuine. It's the difference between jumping off a cliff to test if you can fly and being pushed off and discovering you had wings all along. This radical trust is the gold hidden in spiritual poverty. It's what every awakened soul with an empty wallet is really teaching. That life itself is trustworthy. That existence takes care of existence. That the same force that beats your heart will provide your bread. Not always when you want it, rarely how you expect it, but always, always, always in perfect timing. So, Here we are at the end of our journey through the cosmic comedy of spiritual bankruptcy. And what have we discovered? That perhaps the empty wallet of the awakened is not a failure of spirituality, but its perfect expression. You see, the whole thing is a divine joke, and the punchline is this. We spend our lives accumulating wealth to feel secure, only to discover that true security comes from having nothing left to lose. We chase financial freedom only to find that real freedom comes when we are free from finances. We build empires of ownership in a universe where we already own everything by being it. The awakened poor are not failed mystics who couldn't figure out the material world. They're the ones who succeeded so completely in seeing through it that they can no longer play the game with a straight face. They are cosmic comedians who got the joke and can't stop laughing long enough to write a proper invoice. And perhaps, just perhaps, they're exactly where they need to be. Their poverty is their teaching. Their empty hands are their gift. Their financial struggles are their offering to a world drunk on the illusion of security. They demonstrate with their very existence that you can be ridiculously alive, outrageously free, and cosmically wealthy while your bank account reads zero. So the next time you meet a broke Buddha, a penile sage, a financially challenged mystic, don't pity them. They might be holding the secret you've been looking for. That when you have nothing, you have everything. That when you let go of needing money, life finds miraculous ways to support you. That the ultimate wealth is knowing who you really are. The cosmic joke continues, and we're all part of it. Some play the role of the wealthy, some the poor. Some accumulate, some release. But in the end, we're all just consciousness playing hide and seek with itself, pretending to own things in a universe where everything already belongs to everyone by virtue of being the same thing. And that, my friends, is why enlightenment doesn't come with a financial planning guide. Because when you truly wake up, you realize the whole economy is just consciousness paying itself with symbols of itself for things that are already itself. Now, if that doesn't make you laugh, you haven't gotten the joke yet. But don't worry, life will keep telling it until you do. And when you finally get it, when the cosmic humor hits you right in the bankruptcy, you'll understand why all the greatest sages died with empty pockets and full hearts. After all, what else is there to do in this divine comedy but laugh all the way to the bank, even if you can't afford to make a deposit?